Ich wartete Jahrhunderte und man sagte mir, dass eine Scheibe Brot überdauert. Ich nähte den Grund.
Hey, welcome back. Gonna finish up the tribute to Bartsch here, Jurgen. Where we left off was the like 95-6 era. So going back to the Red Stream catalog in spring of 1997. Get an update on our boys in Bethlehem and what's up. So the Deinonychus Nakar CD was just coming out. 7 Infernal Hymns of Pure Cult Dark Metal. And of course that album's title is Latin, which I butchered to death. Yep. So it's Latin. I mentioned before, you should kill yourself. So always appropriately titled for coming from Jurgen. So to sum it up, let's read. This is from Terrorizer magazine. The little description: Bethlehem are worth more than a pilgrimage to. Nocturnal opus dedicated to hate, depression, and suicide. There you go. So that album was out, and there's T-shirts. And that was about it. That was the spring. So by May of 97, again, Red Stream and updates. This is cool. And I know a lot of people watching are familiar with the movie Gummo. Of course, Bethlehem is on the soundtrack. There we go. What a fucking crazy movie, huh? Loved it. Saw it. I was a big fan of kids, so of course I had to go see this when it came out. And I went to New York and saw a screening. Opening night, and it was fucking madness in there. Just drunk fucking weirdos. It was a good time. But just hearing Absu, Bethlehem, Burzum, Mortician. I mean, extreme music was kind of catching on at this point, which was kind of pissing me off. But to go in a movie theater and, Mystifier, what the fuck, Mystifier, was on here. Just, Buharia, Bathory, when that scene came on and, they're playing Bathory and just, man. So, anyway, Pat in this write-up from Red Stream mentions, following the success of Bethlehem's Gummo movie soundtrack cut, The band has pushed back their new recording to record a track by Iron Maiden, which we all know was mini CD. I'm not going to go over that. The new album, Schizoid. I'm not going to read the German thing. Is scheduled for release in August, September of 1997. And then it goes on to say Bethlehem will also, via Red Stream, reissue the first Bethlehem's entire CD entitled Dark Metal. So, yeah, there we go. That was gearing up to be a heck of a year. And that, well, let's bring this up here first. That new album Pat was referring to in the update, Suicide, Suizid, probably is my favorite. I like them all, but I think they definitely, Bethlehem were definitely onto something with this album. It definitely crossed over to multiple genres with this, still holding true to their sound. And here's a little promo I got from Pat, because I was doing a fanzine at this point. Let's see, yeah, official version includes 20-page booklet. Release date April 1st, 1998. So I did two zines back in the 90s. Mental Funeral was kind of, well, Mental Funeral was my second one. Children Who Came was my first one. I did 2 issues of that. That's probably, there might have been a review in the second issue. I can't remember now. I'd have to look at it. But that was probably the zine it intended to go into. Mental Funeral, I think I started in maybe 98, 99. I'm not too sure if this, again, I can't remember which of them I reviewed, but I was doing a zine. Mental Funeral was a lot more people probably remember me from doing in the late 90s, very early 2000s. Anyway, let's get a little insight into Bartsch's mindset for that album. Excellent interview in Hellfrost here, Hellfrost zine. This was a US zine. This looks like issue 7. And the album we were just talking about had dropped. So there we go. There's a cover. One paragraph in particular I wanted to read, because I think it's gonna, at this point, what I wasn't writing Jurgen anymore. I wasn't really as involved in writing letters and tape trading anymore. The internet was around. I had mentioned in the first video I was losing interest in black metal, and even though this was a lot of it, still kind of black metal, doom metal. There's a lot of cool industrial noise creeping into the sound, which would later lead to this right here, Stahlmantel. We'll get to that. Anyway, let me read this little paragraph from Hellfrost zine. So the author asks, you spoke of having some severe nightmares as a child and finding yourself in a realm you can only define as the Alexander world. If you would elaborate on this and explain how the morbid dreams have influenced the music of Bethlehem. So Bartsch says, sorry, but momentarily I can't speak so often about Alexander World, because last I was there, I awoke and my body was full of blood. My whole flat was full of blood too, and honestly I'm a bit afraid that I did some uncool things with one of my knives. And that I did during I was in this world. And that I should stop talking about my personal depths in public, for otherwise, one day I returned from the Alexander world, I find myself killed by myself. In my early youth, I once found myself on the second floor, naked, full of blood, with a large knife in my hands. The door was locked from outside, and after my parents found me there, they put me in a psychiatric institute where I had to spend 2 years of my life. So, you know, like we were saying, Bartsch had demons, and very early on. I'm not interested in this experience again, but I found out the more I talk about the Alexander, or the more all these things come back to me again. So I better stop talking about it, which better should be buried deep inside myself. So there you go. Bartsch definitely, suffered, but like most artists, channeled it through his music. Little insight, little back in time to 97, 98, and where Bartsch and Bethlehem were. Another interview from that time period. I just had to read, and this was Dissent magazine, done by Stephen O'Malley. I think everybody's familiar with Stephen's work. This was a great fanzine. 5 issues he did. Diabolical Netherworld, Moonburn were actually featured in, I think, issue 2. So that was always cool of him. What was Stephen's band? Conate? I know he did more, but that's what's coming to mind. I can't remember the other. What the hell was it, dude? Man, he did with the Norwegian female vocalist. Oh well, we're not talking about that. We're not. Well, we are, but we're not focusing on his bands. But Conate, I remember. All right, so this again was around the Susan album, and I think the mini CD, mini CD with the Iron Maiden cover, it's discussed in here. But we're gonna get into a little passage here, well, let's just read it. Here we go. Okay, so the author says, or asks, your name, Jürgen Bartsch, is that of a very infamous German child molester from Essen. Are you aware of the case? This, as it turned out in later documents of an imprisonment, very reflective and love-hungry young man killed 5 prepubescent boys, dissecting at least one of them alive. He died in 1976 after botched castration, to which he, against all cautions, voluntarily subjected himself, nevertheless castrating casting the anesthesiologist responsible for his eternal sleep in a decidedly dubious and still unresolved light. Does this case have any relevance for you, or should I stop coming with the interwingings? So Jurgen, sorry, if you see how small this writing is, I can barely. My eyes aren't so good anymore. Can't. It's friggin' very small writing. So sorry if that sounded terrible. But anyway, here's Jurgen's answer. With interest, I followed the story of child killer Jurgen Bartsch for a time, and happened upon this brilliant 2-hour documentary, Obituary on a Monster. It retraced without having been prodigious, and I still feel magically attracted by this. I'm sorry, without judging him. It retraced without judging him. Okay. The life of the man, Jurgen Bartsch, beginning with his childhood until his involuntary death. The film had a great fascination for me, and I finally received information I was after for quite some time. Later, this identity of name was a reason why for my classmates to call me child murderer and make me an outsider, which suited me well, as I had no heart to lose for that small town school encapsulated in a pungent stench of putrefaction. So those shit-faced squares with their childish social games actually did me a great favor. This way, I didn't have to hang around with them, myself being more drawn to the cities anyway, and hanging out with older people who were also pissed off with school or domestic fucking violence, all giving me very good reason to turn to rock and roll at age 13 or 14, getting massively wasted and letting it probably should have said letting it rip with kindred spirits. So much for that. The documentary on Bartsch, the child molester, was shown on TV for the first time in 1984. It marks my graduation from the Bartsch subject, because before that I've already read vague articles procured by at great effort, and I get the impression that everybody knew something to tell about this child killer, but nobody really had a clue about the events as they actually took place. Even my parents knew next to nothing, and my mother told me one day that my father gave me his name intentionally because he was annoyed that I, as obvious drunk, drunken mistake was responsible for the unavoidable marriage of my parents. Man, what a pile of shit the world is sometimes. So, Bartsch's dad names him after a child molester because he was pissed he was born. And it sounds like his dad was a drunk. And to get back at his mom, yeah, he named... Now, whether or not that's true, I'm going to say yeah. Why would, I would say yeah. I mean, if you think about it, because... okay, let's skip ahead a little bit. 2004, let's start there. Now, at this point, I'm kind of in and out, definitely done with writing letters and all that stuff. Tape trading, floating interest in the black metal scene. More interested in like kind of the death grind, gore metal, gore grind scene that was coming up, especially from Europe. Gabber I was big into, and the noise power electronics, which I always liked, but seemed to have another renaissance in the late 90s, early 2000s. And speaking 2000s, I brought up 2004. This is when we had Stahlmantel, which was a project I became aware of because a good buddy, Nihilist, hooked up with Jurgen Bartschch from, there we go, from Bethlehem, and also Reiner, that played keyboards in Bethlehem. So they started this project, Stahlmantel, which you playing on the stereo here, and first CD here was Satan's Snuff Machine, and this was 2007. And Nihilist and Bartschch weren't strangers to each other. Back in 2004, Bethlehem did a split with Mike's band, or Nihilist's band, Wraithen, which is really, really awesome black metal band. Mike also, you probably also know Mike from Abazagorath, which Mike and I worked together, including the band itself. This was put out on my label, Novisible Scars. This was an EP. Long, was a limited 500 copies, long sold out, but you definitely take a listen if you're interested via YouTube, or go to Novisible Scars Bandcamp, which is still up. Also, Mike did a band here called Slumber Room with another guy, Mike, the two Mikes, that I put out. This was an EP, cassette EP. And if you enjoy, it was compared to Burzum Philosophum. So if you like that era of Burzum, definitely have a listen. Go to the Bandcamp. Again, Novisible Scars. These are over 10 years old, guys, at this point. The label's inactive, but I still keep it up there. Why not? Good music should still be heard. They're probably streaming on YouTube too. But Stahlmantel kind of piqued my interest again with what Bartschch was up to. I really liked it because at this point, it was what I was into. It was kind of like industrial noise, EBM, and Mike's vocals are very, definitely added the touch of black metal to it. And there's some heavy guitars in it, almost like I want to say Little Mysticum, but I think this is way more non-metal than Mysticum, but nevertheless awesome. And believe that you could check this out on YouTube. I think that's about it, because after that, and until man, 2020. Well, look, actually, one more thing, and I can't remember if I went or not. I know Bethlehem played Maryland Death Fest, and for the life of me, I can't remember. I think I did go. But the problem with a lot of times when I went, I didn't watch bands too much. Yeah, definitely partied more than I watched bands a lot of times. So I'm going to look it up after I end this video. I'm not going to do it here, but I kind of think was there. I wish I had photos, or if I did, I wish I had photos, and wish I had gone and introduced myself to Jurgen. Anyway, that's about. I think that's about all I wanted to mention. I didn't talk again till Bartsch till 2024 on Instagram, like I had mentioned in the last video. So, but at least I feel better that at least we exchanged a bunch of messages back and forth. He sounded like his circumstances were dire, but he was still planning on recording more Bethlehem music. I don't know if that happened, so we'll see. Maybe there was some music that's left over and somebody will release. I don't know, to be continued. But anyway, again, cheers, to Bartsch, to all the individuals, past and present, in Bethlehem, and hey, this is why it was so awesome, the time and a place to be in the underground when I was. So with that, thanks. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And as always, I'm Bill, and no visible scars. Till next time.